Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dating Dynamics. Matt and Nick with you here again for episode 2. We're going to do both parts in this video because I guess that's a thing. YouTube doesn't let them do it in one take for some reason. Anywho, glad to be back. Good episode. Saw a lot of things, wanted to talk about a lot, but of course we don't want to take too long either. So, first of all, I'm just going to start with 3 things you should never do. Okay.
You mean some of the guys did something wrong at some point?
Yes, they did.
They
did.
Elaborate.
Yeah. Don't cross-dress. We'll roll that.
I was always under the impression women liked ultra feminine behavior in a man.
Yes. Well, not so much. Number 2, when you're speaking to a woman, don't cover your mouth, Johnny.
I relate with her. She's just like spunky.
You know, you like swimming, is that why? Or?
I do love swimming.
Yeah, so when you're doing this, it's a nervous movement. People have different nervous movements. I'll put my hand through my hair, but that's more attractive, right? So if you're gonna have a nervous something, don't cover your mouth, okay? Especially if you're a guy. It just shows that you're nervous. It shows maybe you're not confident in that situation, and you want to show that nice smile. So don't cover your mouth. Number 3, twister.
This wasn't on purpose.
Really? Don't ever use that as like an excuse for physical touch. Just,
It's a great way to break the ice.
if you have twister at home, please insert it into the garbage.
All right, so we're going to dive in here. So the first one we're going to do is we want to highlight just a difference in mentality that can make, well, a huge difference in just your personal happiness. Whether you're a guy or a girl, it doesn't matter. A lot of your happiness is going to be centered around this principle, but with dating, it is paramount. Okay, so there's a big difference between the way Jake and Ben are approaching this whole show, this whole type of interaction. Jake is very, well, you know, things aren't like going exactly the way I want them to, and I don't like that, and so I'll try to get other people to like change other people's behavior or react differently instead of just being himself and letting the cards fall where they may. Now, in light of that, Ben, who a lot of people hate because he seems overly arrogant, and he probably is a little bit, he has a really healthy attitude, though, at least in this one aspect, which is, you know what? I'd love to keep going on in this show. I like some of the girls and everything, but if it works out or it doesn't bother me that much as long as I was myself, because whether they reject me or not that's up to them. I can't control that. So we call that a locus of control. And that just means, is your feeling of control within you? Do you take control of the things that you can take control of and leave the things that you can't control, you know, to other people, and you don't worry about it? And so Jake does a really bad job at that. He has a very miserable attitude, and it's unattractive. It's not going to get him far.
Yeah, I could see him being gone by the next one. Ben's still in it. I'm liking that. Now I'm liking him more. He's seeming a little less arrogant, and just that he's got the confidence. I like it.
Might actually have something going for him in the end. We'll see.
Absolutely. So now we're going to focus kind of on the girls and their interactions with the guys. You can see, first of all, we'll start with Lauren. Lauren, you can see that she's going for calm, nice, or we'll say kind. We don't like the word nice, nice guy. Kind and consistent and successful. That seems to be where she's really leaning toward. And to me, I just think that of the guys that she has picked, that the one out of those that can just be, you know, that prince, which she's picking these guys that are princely, they're good guys, have a lot going for them. Whoever ends up being the most charming of those guys, that's who she's going to go with. And so at this point, I don't know, because none of them have really showed much like manly, confident, you know, behaviors. But whoever steps it up, that's who's going to get Lauren.
Agreed. Yeah, for her, it's definitely Prince first, and then charming is like the icing on the cake, but she still wants that icing, so we'll have to stay tuned for that. So, second is Ellie. So Ellie, a lot of guys have kind of pointed out, Ellie's hard to read, and like, I don't know what she thinks about me, and you know, all these different things, and it's because she is actually pretty hard to read. She's not overtly interested in really any of the guys, with maybe one exception. And there's a few reasons for that. So reason number one is that she's just naturally more reserved. Some girls are overtly flirty and extroverted, and others are a little more reserved, and you know, they have a thicker shell kind of around them. The other thing is she's a really high value girl who's really pretty and also really young. So she doesn't need this show. She's really not that I mean, the guy asked her, "Why are you here?" And she's like, "I never pass up an opportunity."
Yeah.
Sound more like business opportunity than dating opportunity.
Ellie, we're on to you.
Yep, we see you.
Still love you though.
But not like in a needy way. Like,
of course not.
We were interested, but like not sold, you know. Anyways, also the fact that she doesn't have to work for these guys' attention means she doesn't ever need to show, "I'm interested in you," in order for them to chase her. She has plenty of guys buzzing around her, and all she has to do is just, you know, kind of sit back.
Right. Yeah, I've noticed with a pattern with the guys that she has picked. So you got Ben, Mikey, Scott, are the ones that stand out the most to me. And none of these guys are needy. No, they're not needy. Actually, I met Mikey a few weeks ago. Awesome guy. I'm rooting for you, buddy. I know this already happened, but I'm still rooting for you. But you just see confidence in Mikey. His body language shows that he's totally comfortable being there. And yeah, just no needy vibes at all from him or Ben or Scott. Speaking of Scott, though, great Scott, yes. Again, he's doing a fantastic job. And finally, we got to see it. We got to see it. So I've been talking about being willing to take that step back, even if it's a small one. He totally did it. We're going to roll that.
So I brought some jazz. And let's do some swing dance.
Oh gosh, how do you know how?
You don't know how?
No.
Obviously not. It's easy. So this right here is not how you do it.
So, as you can see there, he's being very charming and very, hey, you know, he's providing a lot of fun. He's, you know, changing up the environment. He's not being boring. All these good things, taking the lead. But she's like, "Oh, I don't really, you know, swing dance, you know." And he calls her out immediately. "Yeah, I can tell, you know, or I can see that, you know." And
Good job, buddy.
that's not very harsh. It's just an observation, playfully given out, right? And that shows, look, you're charming and I'm definitely interested in you, but I'm not sold on you because we're still in this testing each other phase. And no one really has done that on the show, and especially not to Ellie. And so it was really neat to see that. You can see that Ellie really favors Scott because she is the one guy that he is the one guy that she will actually show some emotion, like, "Oh, really?" Like, you can see it in her eyes, her posture.
She reacts to him.
Yep. Positively.
Yes.
Any reaction isn't necessarily a good reaction.
You know, it's funny. You're starting to see some jealous vibes, too. There were a few guys that, "Oh, I don't know about this Scott, you know, and he's overselling his acts." And it's like, no, look, buddy. You're just jealous
too hard.
that he's being successful and that he's standing out. And rather than, well, it'd be much more attractive to say, "Hey, this guy's doing really well." So showing the jealousy, not attractive.
Yeah, it means you're insecure and petty.
Yeah.
Actually.
Absolutely.
So the next one is B. So I think we're just gonna roll the clip of her kind of talking about her experience so far.
Yep.
I've been wrong so many times about boys. Like, I want to assume the best and like give them the benefit of the doubt. For me, it's like, oh, I wasn't worth it. I wasn't worth enough that for them to like respect me enough. And so I always try to assume like they would never do something like that to me. But it happens all the time. And I am not good at catching it at first. I'm good at catching it once I'm invested and it hurts. And why would this be any different? This is a perfect sample size of what dating is like in Provo. It's bound to happen with at least some of them, you know?
So B is a lot of women. And we've talked about this a bit before, but as she said there, you know, it's very difficult for her to bridle those emotions and make what would be the better logical choice. And so she's kind of looking at her options right now. And so the old X Factor Walker, she can see that, and right now she's actually, I would say, the most attracted to Walker. And it's because he's that high risk guy. And what's associated with high risk? Well, certainly high reward, but also this emotional swing. It's like either he's actually really into me or he's not at all and he's a player. It's this big gap.
Yeah.
And for a girl that's emotionally driven like B, boy, does that draw them in. It really triggers attraction for them. And it's a difficult thing to deal with.
Yeah, Matt and I did a video on why women tend to date jerks, basically. I mean, that's what it's called. And so if you want to check that out, it's going to be up there. But it is a real problem that a lot of women have, and but it's not impossible to solve. It's not an unsolvable problem, you know. And so we hope that she can, you know, make some good choices here. Mm-hmm. But so the next one we want to talk about is Daniel. So Daniel's super likable guy. Yeah. He's awesome.
He's super funny. I really like the guy.
Yep. And so does she. But we are, you know, we mentioned earlier on that, hey, maybe they could get the whole friend zone thing going. And it looks like that's the case because...
Well, he said it.
I don't know. B and I are homies now. And B's dope, so...
You know, I think we're homies. You know, it's like, it really does seem like he's shooting for friendship and then hoping something builds on top of that. Yes. And if you have watched any of our other videos, basically, you know that we here at Dating Dynamics do not suggest that route, because that's what happens. Guys friend zone themselves. They may have tons to offer and have a lot of charm, but they will put themselves in the friend zone, and it's so hard to get out of that. Especially on a dating show when you have limited interactions. It's like,
yeah,
come on, man.
Yeah. So, to another match of B's is Keaton. So we mentioned Jake before being kind of really reactive to things and, oh, it's out of my control. Keaton was really putting off a lot of those vibes, and like, if there was one good thing about it, it was showing B that, like, he's not a player, which in a way makes her kind of less attracted, but she does trust him more. I don't know, Nick, what are you thinking about that?
Yeah, I agree. It made it seem like, hey, we want the same thing, and he did show in previous episodes that he could be charming. So like, those are all pluses, but that locus of control being outside of you is extremely unattractive in anyone. But I think probably especially between like a man and a woman, like things that women look for in men, because confidence does not come from the world around you doing everything right. It comes from you doing things, being confident in your own ability to make a life that you want. And it was all about, this isn't the kind of atmosphere that I like, and I don't even know if I can trust me. And he was being really emotional. It's like, look, if this show is your best opportunity to find a girl, then that shows some really low value. I mean, he even said later on, he put in a good old plug for Mutual.
Yeah, we saw them slip him a 20.
Was it just 20? He's like, well, if this doesn't work out, at least I have Mutual, you know.
Yeah.
And that's just, it was positive and negative. The main bad thing was he exuded no charm, and it was all serious. And this is like the third time they've ever talked. So don't get too serious too quick. It's unattractive.
Yeah, she obviously she kept him around because he did establish beforehand, like, you know, he can be fun. He's an attractive guy, but he's going to have to kick the game back up in order to keep her interest.
And Walker will probably have to make a major misstep, like show that he's a player, and then she's going to be like, oh, he is a player. I'd like to go for something more secure, because she does logically know that she wants that. So, you know.
And that's my prediction right there. Walker, you know, I don't know about this guy. Like, it's part of me that likes him. You know, he's a smart kid. He's confident, but I totally think he's got those player vibes, and they're starting to show up a little bit. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see how right I am.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our review and analysis of episode 2. It sounds like we're
parts 1 and 2.
Yeah, it sounds like we're doing like Star Wars here. Next time. But we just want to say before we go that, like, for any of you guys, if you maybe see a lot of yourself in some of these guys who are struggling, we would love to sit down with you and talk about things that you could work on and improve and how to do that. We do offer that one-on-one coaching, and it is paid. You know, it's not for free, but you get what you pay for. Would you want it to be free? I hope not.
And we are in Provo, by the way.
Yeah, we're Provo-based. For you ladies, if you know any guys that need this, you know, send them our way. We're happy to help. Turn all the guys into, you know, these charmers that you would like. So
absolutely, turn those nice guys into Prince Charming.
And if you enjoyed the content today, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know when our next videos are coming up. We've got good things coming. We're going to keep doing this series, but we also have other good stuff coming, so stay tuned.